I am Sheila, Resource Secretary of the Board, and I'm joined by my fellow board members Orly Kiner, Bob Gibson, Elizabeth Tewin, and Matt Littlejohn, as well as our General Manager, Mike Houston. The reason we've called this meeting is that the board is proposing some amendments to the co-op's Articles of Incorporation. These amendments are related to our plans to open a second store. And according to our bylaws, any changes to the articles require a special member meeting like this, as well as a subsequent vote of the membership on these changes. So let me pass it over to Orly to give some background on why we are proposing to amend the articles.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Sheila. So, as we hope everybody already knows, for a few years now, the co-op board has been working towards opening up a second store. And just to remind everyone, we're doing this for two reasons. First, because we all want to be responsible financial stewards of the co-op and allow the store to achieve the revenue growth that it needs to remain prosperous into the future. And second, we feel that community-owned cooperative businesses are more valuable and relevant than ever to the world we find ourselves in, and we want to extend the co-op option to another part of our community. So we've come a long way down this road already. We have studied the issue of opening a second store. We've done all sorts of internal readiness, hired some consultants to advise us. We've commissioned a market study and a pro forma. And the more we learn, the more the board is convinced that this is the right course of action for us. And we have tried really hard to keep the co-op membership informed and engaged on the issue. And we've had so many conversations with so many members to explain our thinking and to listen to your ideas for the future of the co-op. So we are basically now prepared to take the next step, which is to start looking for a location for the second store. But as you can imagine, when we find the right property in this competitive market, we need to be ready to act on it quickly. And that means we're going to need to have the money in hand to secure the building we need at the most favorable terms we can get. And so, what co-ops have always done all over the country, whenever they need to make any kind of that they turn first to their member owners for investment to either make loans or to buy shares in the cooperative. And I just want to emphasize that we're saying we need investment here, not donations. So in our case, we plan to offer our members the opportunity to buy preferred shares in this cooperative business that you already own, shares that will pay interest and which will be repurchased by the co-op once we have our new store up and running. So we are hoping to raise $2.4 million this way through a member capital campaign. So having the member capital in hand will greatly strengthen our position in the eyes of our future landlord and in the eyes of the banks that we will need to approach for some additional financing of the project. So, in order to issue the shares, we have to make some changes to our articles of incorporation. And I'm going to turn what the proposed changes to the articles of incorporation are.
Thanks, Orly. Yeah, so the board, your board and your general manager, Mike Houston, worked closely with a local law firm named Schulman Rogers. The language that describes the shares and how they'll work. And here's a summary of the amendments. This has already been made available to you, but just to go over it now. The amendment is going to allow us to issue 3 different classes of shares, and each of them will yield dividends that, depending on the size of the investment, will change. The largest investments, those over $50,000, $50,000 and more, will earn in annual dividends of 5%. Anything from the $20,000 to $49,999 will earn 4.5%, and those under $20,000 will earn 4%. Now, each of these shares costs $1,000, and we are setting a minimum purchase of 2 shares. So the minimum purchase of shares for any member would be $2,000 or 2 shares. The co-op is going to have the discretionary right to begin buying back these shares and thus return the members' principal investment beginning in 2031, so in about 5 years. Now, the eligibility to purchase shares is just for members who reside in Maryland, currently reside in Maryland. We've already had questions about this because we do have members who reside in other states. We have a number of members in DC and Virginia, elsewhere. And the problem is right now it's restricted to Maryland because that's the kind of investment vehicle we're using that a law firm worked with us on. Only allows us to issue those in the state that we're incorporated in as a business. We asked about and looked into the possibility of extending it beyond the borders of Maryland. Unfortunately, this triggers a fairly involved, complicated, and time-consuming and possibly expensive process of applying to the Security and Exchange Commission. So we're not going to do that at this point in time. We will have other means to do fundraising with members in other jurisdictions, but right now the preferred shares are just available for purchase if you live in Maryland. The shares are non-transferable and they're non-voting, so that the governance of the co-op doesn't change. It remains where it's been with all of us member owners of the co-op and the board that the member owners elect. So to protect our member investors, the amendments that you'll be voting on say that in the very unlikely event of a dissolution or liquidation, first the co-op needs to pay off any bank debts. Then the co-op would first pay out money owed to its preferred shareholders before other members of the cooperative. The amendments also protect our members by indicating that any future amendments to the articles that affects the preferred shareholders requires the approval of at least a majority of those preferred shareholders voting as a separate class. So there's a lot of safeguards in there. So that's the substance of the amendments. And now I'm going to turn it over to our Vice President, Elizabeth Tuin, who's going to talk more about the opportunity to take this vote. Thank you.
Bob. Yeah, I'm just here to explain sort of the logistics and how the voting process is going to work. You will have the opportunity to vote electronically. That will be posted on our website this evening, and voting will be open through July 8th. This will all look very familiar to those of you who have voted in past elections, be it our annual board elections or votes we've taken to amend our bylaws. So be on the lookout for that. And just so everybody understands how voting is counted, we do, pursuant to our bylaws, need to have 2/3 affirmative votes from the members casting votes. So this is not total membership number. It is just the members that are voting have to hit that 2/3 mark. That's it when it comes to voting. It's pretty straightforward and simple. We have been, as Orly said, putting a lot of work into all of this, and we hope that we've been able to answer your questions, any questions tonight about, what this process. Of course, are opening it up to the floor. And just want to say that we are available if we cannot get your questions answered this evening. We want to be here as a resource to all of you throughout this process. And I guess with that, back to Orly to facilitate questions.
Yeah, we'd love to take any questions.